woman is God, plain and simple. She's the mother of all Africanity, and I'm her companion, her complement, her confidant. Since the beginning, so it will be in eternity. Our ancestors shine through us. Our offspring validate our existence.
No survival without resistance. Akivalon, stand up. Black love, stand up. Every God, every goddess, forever united and unstoppable.
Giving honor to the ancestors, those who came before us. All the wisdom that they show us. They patient cause they know us. When we fussing and we fighting, they manage to enlighten, enhance our insight. So our outer like and writing, our connection is a titan. Our love is a colossal, disagreement is a fossil. I am your apostle, our love is like a journal. Turn the page eternal, our souls intertwined. The theology of time dictates that we rewind and go back to the beginning when the deities were women. Time to stop pretending that I hate you when I love you, putting other things above you. Don't like that others drug you, not me, I always dug you. I believe we've been together since the birthing of forever. You work the stormy weather, I'll never do it better than I do it in your presence. You validate my lessons, my God begets blessings, that's why I call her essence.
The black man is God, plain and simple. The world sees your greatness, why can't you? Y'all wanna see the sisters step up and lead this fight? Cause we real, but not without you. You're a warrior, a scientist, I'm your complement, your companion. I only wanna see you on the throne.
So black man step up, king step up. Ain't no way we don't ride when we got a black woman that knows she's God. Ebony, yes.
You my girl, I'm your new, you the truth, I'm the proof, no abuse. Mama Seuss, tie me up and turn me loose. Sebek and Heteru, giving thanks in Neteru. For the king I get in you, no regrets in picking you. Like I said, you're to a star, I remembered who you are. I'm your moon, you're my star, your performance over par. Through the pain and the scars, the shackles and the bars, I fly from here to Mars with my feelings in the jar. If I thought it set you free, I gotta have you next to me. Your intellect vexes me, your conversations ecstasy. You and me is heavenly, freedom is our legacy. I've yet to see another brother that can touch the best in me. DOK and Ebony, together for eternity. Even when you hurting me, I'm by your side, certainly. Written in the sacred text, from this cycle to the next. I'm the most and you the best. Face to face, we ace the test, huh? See, what y'all don't understand is, we were meant to move in harmony. 2 minds, 1 soul. It was written in the ancient scrolls. With the black man as your backbone, how could you fold? Take back what they stole. They broke the mold, but these songs were made to hold. And hold on, be real. Nigga, be still. Bitches, be real. The deal has been sealed, and all who come against gets killed.
Check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Check 1 2. Yo, mic check. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Let me check. Here. Mic check. Let me know if you hear me out there. I'm not getting a reading in here. Mic check 1 2. Yo. Okay. That's gonna be that echo. Get rid of this echo right quick, y'all. Mic check. Won't let me. Mic check 1 2. Mic check. Turn this to this. All right. There we go. There we go. All right, y'all let me know if you hear me. Let me know if you hear me. Got a few people on the live. All right. What's up, Ralph Long? What's going on? Hashtag perks. What's happening? I'd like to welcome everybody to the second episode of the Morning Bill with Baba Amin. Around here, we start our week off woke, and that's what the Morning Bill on Monday mornings is all about. It's about starting your week off woke. You know what I'm saying? And it's just an opportunity to get in here, drop a few jewels on a Monday morning. I know a lot of you getting up and going to work. We're broadcasting live right now on Facebook. The recorded episode will be on Podbean. It's going to be themorningbill.podbean.com for you to enjoy throughout the week if necessary. But we are live right now. There will be a time for you to call in during this broadcast to weigh in. If you want to weigh in, the number's on the screen, 817-796-6267. I am your host of the Morning Bill. My name is Baba Amin Ojuwoke. I am the co-founder along with my beautiful wife, who I must acknowledge, Mama Nkoyo Ojuwoke of the Uhuru Academy. You know what I'm saying? It is the Uhuru Academy is a private African-centered school. We work with young people and adults. I'm talking about pre-K on up to 100 years old in helping to provide education solutions for our people. Independent, African-centered education solutions for our people. You can check out us on social media. The Twitter handle right there is at the Uhuru Academy. Then you have Facebook at Baba Amin Ojuwoke, and you have the Instagram at Baba Amin Ojuwoke as well. How's the audio? Those of you who are live right now on Facebook with me, how's the audio? I know last week we had some audio issues with a real bad echo coming through, but I think I've made the appropriate adjustments. But y'all have to tell me. You know what I'm saying? Peace, brother Justice Scott, one of the coolest producers in the land. Matter of fact, the song you heard as we were preparing to start the show was called "You and Me," featuring myself and Mama Nkoyo, and Justice produced that track. You know what I'm saying? And so, just a song to remind us about the unity, the power of the black man and the black woman, the power in the unity of the black man and the black woman. Y'all, we're gonna have a nice conversation this morning. I'm sipping on some tea, some herbal tea sent to me by my brother Kale Japata out in Oakland. Brother's a healer, and got some good blood purification herbs going on this morning. Peace, Obafemi in Arkansas. What's happening, my brother? Good to see you this morning as well. I hope everybody's up, man. I'm up. I got my little workout on, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to tackle another week of empowering my people, attack another week of educating our children, you know what I'm saying, and making life better for African people here and abroad. That's the whole goal. I know I'm a little bright in here this morning. My light filters ain't doing what I need them to do this morning, but that's all right. The goal is to get this message out, and that's what we're gonna focus on today. We're gonna do a little news you can use. We're gonna have a conversation this morning, a dialogue this morning. I'm working on a book right now called the Integration Report Card, right? And we're gonna talk about certain aspect of the integration or the history of school desegregation in the United States this morning that I find to be very interesting, and that's the doll test, right? So we have a few things that we're going to discuss this morning that I think that you guys are going to find of interest, right? So it's going to be a good build. It's going to be a real good build. Peace, Nuru. That's my sister right there, beautiful sister. Out of Kansas City originally, but by way of Fort Worth though. She's in the DFW area now. So peace to you, Nuru. Good morning to you as well. Boy, I know some beautiful, beautiful African people. You know, we are celebrating 10 years of the Uhuru Academy. This is Uhuru 10, y'all. The Uhuru Academy was founded in 2010. We are in 2020. This is our 10th year. 10 years, no government funding. Okay, 10 years, independent, African-centered education. We've been blessed to touch several lives over the years. We're still here and we're still growing. All right, this ain't the end. This ain't the last year. We're looking forward to the next 10, but we are definitely celebrating Uhuru 10 this year. We're definitely celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Uhuru Academy. What a blessing. To have a black-owned business to survive for 10 years is a blessing, let alone to have a black-owned business like this one, a black-owned business that's dedicated to empowering our children, empowering black families with knowledge of self, with knowledge of our surroundings, you know, through education. And so we are definitely in celebration mode right now when it comes to the Uhuru Academy. So congratulations and thank you to all those who've been involved in supporting the Uhuru Academy, supporting our efforts via donation, via volunteering your time. This has truly been a collective effort. It has not just been me. It has not just been Nkoyo. This has truly been a collective effort on the part of black people. You know, them folk that they say can't come together. The Uhuru Academy has truly been a collective effort by the black community, grassroots effort by the black community to take our destiny and our education into our own hands. So we are definitely celebrating Uhuru 10. All right. You know, but let's get into this. Let's get into this, y'all. I have to say, I don't trust Bernie Sanders. Okay, and I'm not gonna go into it long because we got some stuff to discuss this morning. But before we get into our main discussion, I don't trust Bernie Sanders. I know we're starting our week off woke, and right now I'm seeing a shift in the landscape to where it seems like that if you're woke, then you got to support Bernie Sanders. I don't trust Bernie Sanders. Okay, all right, and I ain't gonna lie. In general, I don't trust old white male politicians in general, and Bernie Sanders has done nothing to earn my trust. Malcolm X used to talk about the difference between the fox and the wolf when talking about the difference between a white liberal and a white conservative. And if I don't, when I look at Trump and Biden and starts Tom, I don't trust Tom either. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust Tom Steyer either. When I look at Tom and Bloomberg and all that, and when I look at Bernie, all I see are foxes and wolves. You can blame Malcolm, but all I see is foxes and wolves. Or maybe you can blame history. You know what I'm saying? But Malcolm said the fox and the wolf. Man, the only difference is that the fox plays with his food first. That's the only difference between the fox and the wolf. The fox is going to be your friend first. The fox is going to look cute. It's going to roll up to you, might rub on you, might lick you a couple of times. But as soon as you get comfortable, the fox is going to eat you, right? And I don't trust Bernie Sanders. Why don't I trust Bernie Sanders? Well, number one, because of the fox and the wolf analogy, because I tend to put old white male politicians in either category. I don't have a third category for white male politicians because they haven't earned it yet. Name one that operates outside of this dichotomy, right? If you could prove to me that white liberals have not exploited the black community, I'll hush, right? I'll hush, right? But to me, he falls right in with the fox and the wolf analogy, okay? And why am I at that conclusion? Why don't I trust Bernie Sanders? 2016. Oh, remember 2016? When he was running in the Democratic primary and it was a close primary between him and Hillary Clinton. Y'all remember that, right? Right? My Bernie Sanders people, y'all remember? Y'all don't want me to open up an old wound, right? He had everybody hype, right? Had everybody hype and it was like, oh, Bernie, Killer Mike was out here. Bernie, oh, it's Bernie. Bernie's a revolutionary. Bernie's a revolutionary, right? And he got close, and I think it was the Iowa caucus or either Idaho caucus, one of them, right? And he basically got robbed. They gave it to Hillary. I think that Bernie had enough delegates. They gave it to Hillary, right? And then Bernie didn't fight it. Remember when Bernie sold y'all out and told everybody, get behind Hillary? Right. And I said it then. I say Bernie's just there to babysit the real progressives inside the Democratic Party. Bernie's there to babysit and corral all the real left wingers so the Democratic Party won't get Tea Party. He's there to prevent the left equivalent of a Trump from coming up, or someone from outside the system truly coming in and getting the Democratic nomination. That's why Bernie was there. He babysat y'all, right? And then when the time came, he turned y'all over to the system. He sold you out in 2016. Y'all wanted to fight. All the Bernie people wanted to fight. I remember that. But then Bernie sold you out in 2016. What's happened since then? What's happened since then? I think he's still babysitting you. He's calling himself a democratic socialist. How you going to be a socialist capitalist? Y'all better watch out. Okay? I ain't saying free healthcare ain't good. I ain't saying that. I ain't saying that forgiving all college debt ain't good. You know, the promises, some of the promises are good. I don't trust Bernie. I don't trust the fox. The fox a lot of times is more dangerous than the wolf. You know what I'm saying? So y'all be careful. Y'all be careful out there, you Bernieites. You know, he just might win the nomination this time, right? I know he's the clear front runner right now, okay? But y'all just might win the nomination. Be careful. I saw him take a picture when he won the Nevada caucus with his fist up. This is not a revolution. This is the fox. I'm going based on history. And until somebody shows me different, that's my position on that. So y'all be careful with this national election, with this 2020. Focus locally. Make you focus locally, man. Focus on the judges. Who's being elected judge in your area, in your region. Focus on your governors. Focus on your mayors. Focus on your city councils, okay? Get organized locally, grassroots, because nobody on the national stage is your friend. We starting our week off woke. This is the Morning Bill. So I don't trust Bernie Sanders, all right, at all, not even a little bit. Okay, I wanted to start a dialogue on integration. It's been over 50 years, or 60 years now, since the Brown versus Board of Education decision, the famous case in 1964, where the Supreme Court ruled that it is unconstitutional to have separate schools. It's unconstitutional, separate but equal. Up until that time, I believe it began with Plessy versus Ferguson. Separate but equal was the law of the land. That hey, you don't have to let black folks where you at, but since they pay taxes, you have to give them equal accommodations, right? Well, they applied that to the school system. And let me give you a little backdrop. The whole public school movement was started by black people when we came out off the plantation. There was not a huge public school movement or movement to educate among white folk prior to the end of slavery, prior to what we call Reconstruction. The whole public school movement was born out of black people demanding education, because our ancestors understood that education was the key, right, to building safe communities, the key to success, the key to protecting ourselves from going back into slavery. Education was the key. Right. So our ancestors understood that. But what happened was you had cities that took over the education piece. Right. Because money started coming in from the federal government, state government. People began to be taxed to build the public schools. And when that money came in, cities and states were not living up to the separate but equal doctrine. I'm going to say it again. They were not living up to the separate but equal doctrine. Understand that our ancestors, for the most part, had no problem with the separate part. Think of how dangerous it was back then, especially. They had no problem with the separate part. The issue was the equal part. My mother would tell me how they got all the throwaway trash from the white high school at their high school in Abilene, Texas. She went to Carter G. Woodson High School. Shout out to Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black History Month. She went to Carter G. Woodson High School, which renamed itself to Carter G. Woodson. It was Abilene Colored High School, but then they renamed it Carter G. Woodson High School. And that was the black school. Now think about it. The black school in that town named after one of the fathers of black history. So what do you think they was on inside of Carter G. Woodson High School? Right. But she said the issue was they always got the old stuff, the hand-me-down stuff from the white high school. They didn't have a problem with the separate part. The problem was with the equal part, So we're going to have dialogue in the coming weeks, and I have a book coming out called The Integration Report Card that I think you guys are going to find very interesting, and it's going to basically be talking about, that time. During that time, what did black people really want? I'm going to interview some elders, right, who's going to tell you what it was like in the all black school as opposed to what it became when they were integrated, quote unquote, integrated into the white schools. We're going to discuss that effect on us economically, psychologically, the whole 9 yards. Briefly, I wanted to talk about the psychological effect, and I want to talk about one aspect of that court case in 1954. Okay, and that I find rather interesting, and that's the doll test. See, basically what happened was that there were 2 psychologists, black psychologists, of husband and wife team, Kenneth and Mamie Clark, and they were staunch integrationists, right? And they conducted a doll test where they had young black children sit down with black dolls and white dolls. Y'all heard about this, right? And they sat down with the black dolls and the white dolls, and they asked a series of questions to the children. Which doll is the good doll? Which doll is the bad doll? Which doll is the pretty doll? Which doll is the ugly doll, right? And then, right, they would ask a powerful question: which doll is you? Which doll represents who you are, right? And so, at interview after interview, they saw black children preferring the white doll. Black children wanting the white doll, and had footage when they asked them which doll is you. There were times when black children were actually crying. Right? They were actually crying because they had to pick the black doll. Some got up and left the room when they realized that they were the black doll, right? And then they used these results to say, as a result of being segregated. Now, understand, segregation, according to Malcolm X, means when people from outside of your community control the politics and economics inside your community. But the definition they were working with was segregated, meaning separate. Segregated meaning because we're in these all black schools, because we don't have access to be around other people. We don't have access to be around whites. Our self-esteem was low. I want y'all to peep the trick there. They used the self-esteem, the low self-esteem of black people to justify, right? To say, hey man, we need to integrate because we're not integrated, they're picking the white doll. Right? Now, here's the concern. Is that really why they picked the white doll? Because they couldn't go to school with white people? I want y'all to think for a minute. We starting our week off woke. I want you to think for a minute. Did they really pick the doll because they wasn't around white people? Or did they pick the white doll because of American society as a whole? See, we blame the all black school for the low self-esteem. Y'all see how they did that? They blame the black school environment for the low self-esteem, but not the social environment. Not the environment where my granddaddy had to walk down the street, and if a white boy stepped on the sidewalk, he had to take his hat off and put his head down. Right? They didn't talk about Jim Crow and the effect that the Jim Crow environment had outside of the school, and perhaps that black school. And when you talk to elders, the black school was the only safe haven, one of the few safe havens where black people could go and begin to be themselves and to begin to learn for themselves. Take my mama's school, for example. That became Carter G. Woodson High School. That's a school that was on a trajectory of embracing who we are. Well, when you close that school down to begin busing black schools away from that school, you're busing them away from culture, away from the institution that's there to build self-esteem. If you talk to anyone who lived back in that day, the source of self-esteem was that black school. The source for their self-esteem was that black school. So when those babies picked the dolls, they weren't picking the dolls because they were going to all black schools. They were picking the dolls because they needed to be in blacker schools. They were picking the white dolls because the overriding society said that white was beautiful, black was bad. And it wasn't because of what was going on in the black schoolhouse. It was what was going on outside of the schoolhouse that made them babies pick that doll. And if anything, that doll test meant there needs to be an intensification of black education, of black culture being built into the education, not the other way around. So it's time to look at that doll test again and see how it was manipulated. to see how the results, to see how the interpretation of what it meant is up for debate. They came back a few years later, well, a lot of years, about 30, 40 years later, in the early 2000s, a young lady conducted another dog test. And this is something maybe some of you grassroots organizers can do at home. Now that we've been integrated for 60 years, go do some more dog tests. And let's go see if integration has increased the cultural self-esteem of Black children. Let's look at some of the children of integration, some of your successful children of integration. How many of them talk Black and marry white? Let's look at the skin bleaching phenomenon that's going on across the planet for Black people. Has integration increased our cultural self-esteem? Or has it decreased it? Now we grew up with an agenda to get as far away from Black folks as we can. Let's do a new dog test then. Y'all see how that works? So that's a part of history where we've been manipulated. That's a piece of that manipulation when it came to the integration agenda that I want us to look at. Look at the dog test and look at the interpretation of what it meant. The integrationist said that means we need to integrate. We got low self-esteem when we by ourselves. But when you look at it with a trained eye, with a woke eye, with an African-centered eye, you see that no, that meant the opposite. That meant we needed more Black schools. That meant we needed African-centered education was the answer to children picking the doll and the white doll, not to immerse them into white culture. They didn't go into those white schools and the white schools were sitting there ready to teach them about their history. You're Black and you're beautiful. Welcome to Central Rock High School. Do you think those who went to Central Park High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, Central High in Little Rock, Arkansas, when they got there, white folks had their arms wide open and said, I can't wait to teach you about Marcus Garvey? Or did they have to call in the National Guard? And it did not the Little Rock Nine get spit on as they were walking into that school? Help me out. They got spit on. And of the Little Rock Nine, I think only one ended up graduating from that school. And you fast forward, how much of our story is taught in school? Black failure in the public school system right now is big business. Big business. Black failure is a cash cow in the public school system. We're going to give integration a report card, and it's time to re-examine what the doll test really meant. And I just want to point out the hypocrisy involved in the doll test and interpreting what that meant. So the next time you hear about the doll test, cause you woke now. I don't woke you up to it. Next time you hear about the doll test, you say, oh, that's where they pulled the okie doke. That's what Thurgood and the integrationists pulled the okie doke. Kenneth and Mamie Clark, God bless all their souls. They still our ancestors. But that's where they made a mistake when they said that Black children chose the white doll because they couldn't go to school with white children. That was a mistake. All right? With all due respect, that was a mistake. This is the morning build. You can actually call in to me. Let me see. Y'all think I'll be playing. Y'all think I'll be playing. I ain't got but 3 minutes left. But we might have to go over just a little bit. I ain't got but 3 minutes left, but we might have to go over just a little bit. I want to see if I can take a couple of calls here. And let me do this. Let me do this right quick. Academy, I believe that's all right. All right. I'm gonna learn how to keep it short, y'all. Oh, I'm gonna learn how to keep it short. I'm gonna learn how to keep this thing short. I am. Oh, it wants me to log in to It wants me to log in. I want to take a couple of calls. Thank you very much, right? Thank you very much. You know what? I'm not going to do this week. I'm not going to take the calls this week, y'all. We're going to come back and take calls next week when I'm better prepared, but in the comments, give me some feedback before I get off the air this morning. Give me some feedback. How do you feel? How do you feel about integration? Did integration hurt us? Has integration helped us? What do you think about the point I brought up this morning? Had you thought about how they use the doll test to justify integration when actually the opposite should have been the results, right? The opposite should have been the interpretation. Had you thought about that? Had us running. Oh, we got to integrate. Look at that. We don't even like ourselves. That means we got to live amongst them. We got to move amongst them in order to like ourselves. Think about that thought process. And think about how that led us, as Dr. King said, integrating into a burning house. Think about how that thinking led us right into the burning house. And the Black community has been burning ever since. It's been burning ever since. Going in a direction thinking that's going to bring us self-esteem. And if anything, it stomped it out. It stomped it out. I want y'all to really give that some thought. Give that some thought. Assimilating is a self-esteem destroyer. When you have an assimilation agenda, right? That's an agenda that's going to destroy your cultural self-esteem. We got to watch out falling for those same traps again. That's why you have to watch white liberalism. That's why you have to watch it. Now, I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Republican by no means, but that's the wolf. Do I need to tell you about the wolf? I don't have to warn you about the wolf. The wolf is warning you about itself. What I'm warning you about is the fox. And maybe we should think like Fannie Lou Hamer and Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture and how they thought about back in the day. And that was Black people forming their own political party, even if it's within one of the larger political parties. Maybe it's time to revisit that again, our own independent political party. And if one of the big boys want our support, then our agenda has to be on the table. No apologies, no settling for crumbs, no more doll tests. Hey, just something to think about starting your week off woke. It's my time, y'all. Please share this the video on Facebook. Again, it's going to be made available. A copy, the recording is going to be made available on themorningbuild.podbean.com. I want to thank everybody for listening this morning. I hope you feel empowered. I hope you feel informed. Make sure your babies see positive images of who we are. This has been The Morning Build with Baba Amin. Y'all have a blacktastic week. Peace.